Yo, welcome everybody to Back and Forth Sports, where we really keep it real on all things sports all the time. And today is the first in our upcoming series of personal interviews. And today we have a very, very, very special guest, an Al Dorado legend, a man that
Right.
I've known since I was a kid. I always looked up to. I always was a great stand-up guy, the one and only Stephen Harshaw. How you doing, my brother?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. No complaints. Could always be a little better, but could always be a lot worse. So
Oh yeah, for sure,
Hey,
I'm
man.
happy where we're at.
And with that
sure.
beautiful family you got, man, you got a lot to be blessed about, man.
Oh yeah, we had to go to ER yesterday morning. One of them was not feeling well, temperature, complaining about her ear. Turns out she got an ear infection and RSV/bronchitis. So,
Yeah, that's going
but
around.
they're doing great. So I know, I know two people whose little ones have died from RSV.
Right. Don't
Could
play
be
with it
better,
at
but
all.
hey, they're kicking strong, so very blessed and happy about that.
Hey, that's good stuff, man. But
Yeah.
Coach, man, first I want to tell you, man, like I said in the introduction, you're definitely an Eldorado legend. And I've told people for years, you were Klay Thompson before Klay Thompson was Klay Thompson.
I like to say I was Steph Curry before Steph Curry, but you're right. That's probably a better definition because Klay Thompson don't dribble a lot, and I really couldn't dribble either. So,
Oh, but you were dead in that corner, man. You was dead
oh
in
man, I
that
can shoot
corner.
that thing now. That's one thing I can do. I could always shoot that thing, but as I got a little older, a little better, and I say older, I'm talking about out of college older. I
Mhm.
started to add that handle. But yeah, man, I tell kids now all the time, look, it doesn't have to be fancy. Like, I averaged 20 something a game. I was all state, and I literally had like a 2 dribble limit. I took more than 2 dribbles. I was in trouble.
I know, man.
So,
We was right under y'all, and I saw it all, man. But look, another important thing I want to say
That's
before
kind of one that kind of like put me right at one of my questions. Like, what's the most points you ever scored in the game? You said you averaged 27, so that means you was putting up some buckets.
no, not 27. No, I think it was like 23 something my senior year.
20-something.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, man. I'm saying that that could be in conference, not the whole season, because I remember I got a report card here a little while ago looking through some files, and I wasn't quite as good of a student as I remembered being because Marquise can tell you I held those girls to high academic standards. I did not play when it came to grades, and I saw my report card one time, was like, ooh, I don't remember it like this.
And
So, maybe it was 23 in conference play, and not I don't know, but no, I could shoot, man. We me and if you remember Keith Marlon Owens.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I was on one side and he was on the other, and
Man, he was probably one of the most underrated players to come through here, man. Him and his brother.
now I don't remember his brother.
His brother was a little older than him, man. He was the same.
Oh yeah,
way.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, man. But look, and some to what you just said, man, I also want to personally thank you, man. And I'm sure a lot of parents echo the same sentiment, man, because you helped us raise our girls at a very crucial time. And I know mine is a headache. So I can imagine what you was dealing with every day. And me knowing all those girls, I know they can all be headaches, man. So I definitely want to thank you for, helping us through that crucial time, man, because you were like an extension of us, and another father figure, uncle figure, a brother figure, whatever you had to be for him, man. And we really appreciate you for that.
Well, and that's my whole thing about coaching. This may come up in questions later, but, like I tell people all the time, wins and losses will happen. If you do it right and you have enough talent, the wins and losses will happen. Like, I personally feel if I was a better coach, we'd have at least 2, if not 3 state titles. So you try your best. But the one thing I know I got right was trying to hold those young ladies to a standard, because I understood high school basketball should not be the high point of your life.
That's right.
Yeah.
It should not be your peak. And even if you make it to D1 college, even if you make it to the WNBA, you're not making life-changing money. That's reserved for the men. So you got to have a plan, and you have to have discipline. And the world don't care about you. The world is hard. So I'm going to be hard on you enough to toughen you up in my role the best I can. So, I appreciate the thanks, but man, that's my biggest joy and my biggest success. I could care less about a state title when I see these girls being successful and being business women and having careers and staying out of trouble and making something of themselves. That's a state title every day, every year. You know.
Well said, man. Which brings me to my first question. When did you know, out of all those years shooting hoops at the Boys and Girls Club, the high school, going to college, when did you know that you were going to be a coach?
So oddly enough, I had no thought about it. It never crossed my mind. Going into college, I was going into law. I was going to be a lawyer. I got hurt my freshman year, missed the whole year. Got hurt my sophomore year, missed the whole year. Just really got kind of depressed and down, and kind of, Cena will tell you, one of my phrases, it got in my feelings. And then it kind of hit me like, I don't want to be a lawyer for real. Like, I only wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to make a lot of money and be famous. And that's the wrong reason to do anything. I realized, man, I love sports. And I wanted to be a lawyer in part to compete. Like, I wanted to try to beat the other side and prove my superiority. I'm like, wait a minute, that's coaching. And I get to do it in a sport that I love. And so really it was like my sophomore year in college, it just popped in my head. It had never been a thought prior to that. So, sometimes you have plans laid out and sometimes it just smacks you in the face out of nowhere.
That's good. And to that, man, how was coming behind such a legendary father? I mean, it was just stories of heart. Your dad, man, from when I was small, and I remember the first time being on the court with him, he had that orthodox shot, but he never missed. Like, he never missed, man. He was one of the greatest shooters I've ever seen. And if a person hadn't been able to be coached or see your father play, man, they just probably couldn't appreciate how good he was. And I'm only speaking as an older man. I didn't even see him when he had the little shorts on,
The socks were longer than the shorts.
Oh, yeah, man. So how did that make you feel coming back to El Dorado, coaching in the same district your father coached there for years?
So to take it back to the beginning of my career, it was a blessing because, Harshaw is not a common name. And if you're a Harshaw, you're pretty much that family. Warren is your somebody, uncle, or in my case, dad, or there's Wayne, there's Juju who played. So that name at least gets you into some doors that you just may be another stack in, a stack of 50 resumes. Mm-hmm. So it helped me get my first job because people knew who I was because they knew of my dad. But the other side of that is I had to prove that I knew what I was doing independent of him because I was Stephen Harshaw, not Warren Harshaw.
Right.
Yeah. He won a state title back in whenever, not me. And I wanted to kind of separate myself, not from him in any type of way, negatively. But I needed to prove, it's like any child. I wanted to make my own path, prove my own value, my own worth, as it regards to being a coach. And that's really why I left when I was in Conway and took a challenging opportunity and moved to Tennessee where nobody knew anything about him or me or the family, and went out to make my own, name and learn on my own. But definitely coming back to El Dorado, to get specifically to your question, coming back to El Dorado, man, it was great. And I think one of the things that I would not probably have gotten the job if I wasn't blah, blah Harshaw. Right. I mean, we know the name and, everybody in the interviews, they already knew who I was. And I think I did a really good job in the interview, but the last name helped. And like I told them in the interview, don't hire me if you don't want a top-notch program. I'm not here to be a babysitter. I'm here to lead an elite program. And I have to prove that to you because I haven't had, that type of high school varsity success prior to that moment. But coming back and doing it that old school Warren Harshaw, like you do what I say way, I'm not negotiating with a teenager. I know more about this than you do. Buy in, discipline, trust me, we'll get there together. Right. Was good. And one of my best memories, I'm kind of dragging on, but one of my best memories is when we won the state title. We're all rah, running on the court, but it was me finding my dad in the bleachers. And like I left the court, they were celebrating and crying and snotting and whatever. And I gone up to the bleachers to give my dad, you know, a hug and all of that, and seeing the people around recognizing what it was and what it meant, because I wouldn't be there without him, you know, and setting the stage and laying the groundwork for me to be able to walk into those doors.
That's a beautiful story, man. Beautiful story. Dre, what you got?
Yeah, one of my questions is it's gonna put you on the hot seat right here. Who is the best player you ever coached, and who is the best player you coached against?
That's easy. The best player I've ever coached was Whitney Frazier. Yeah, that's no hot seat. The best player I've ever coached against, I'm gonna say in two ways. So there was a young lady that played for Little Rock Hall named Tyler Scaife. Coached against her my first year in the playoffs. She was a freshman. She ended up being an All-American, played in the WNBA. But I mean, you can look up, like, go to YouTube, type in Tyler Scaife, Scaife, basketball highlights, and see what she looked like in high school. Monster. But the absolute best I've coached against, again, it was when she was a freshman. My last year at Southwood in 2020 was Michaela Williams, who is, you know, the girl at LSU. She was ranked number one in her class, number 1, 2 between her and Juju Watkins. So I had to coach against her when she was a freshman before the pandemic and the girls were born, and I stepped away and all of that. So, you know, seeing what she became, and I mean, you knew what she was going to be, talking about Michaela Williams, and, you know, what she dropped 42 at LSU the other night. Mm-hmm. So, you know, maybe the best player that has ever come out of Louisiana, you know, but so I've got two, but Whitney is the best all around talented leadership, mental toughness player I've ever coached. But there were, maybe I'll get into it later. There were some other girls on that team that were dogs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Whitney gets a lot of credit, but there are some girls that people don't understand. Go ahead.
Yeah. Nah, I'm agreeing with you. I remember them teams. You know, I graduated around that time, so yeah.
Shout out to Kenedra, my little cousin. She was a dog on defense.
Sure.
She was a dog all around. Man, when she finally started getting confidence in that 3-point shot,
3 points started dropping for her, it was over with.
Yeah, she would attack that rim fearlessly. Yeah, but one that people don't understand, maybe the toughest, meanest. She's probably the meanest kid I've ever coached, boys, girls, is Bria Snowden. And Bria
was tough.
Bria is the girliest girl, you know, gets the nails done and the hair and the makeup, but will punch you in your throat and smile about it.
Yeah, Bria was
I'll tell a story or two about her maybe sometime later in this, but she, oh my God. Well, so one of my favorite stories overall in all of my years of coaching, one time we're playing Little Rock Central at home. It's the opening game of that 2011 state championship season. And at some point, I don't remember exactly, but it's, I think, second half, we call a timeout. Her little sister, Sequoia, if you remember, Sequoia was a junior, and she was our starting point guard. Well, she had picked up a third foul, kind of quick, bang, bang. And we're coming out of a timeout, and, you know, we're facing them like I'm facing the camera. They're here. Mm-hmm. And so me and my assistants, they're behind me, and we're like, all right, we got to do this. Let's go. And as the girls, they get up and they're walking out, Sequoia is like, man, these referees tripping, calling fouls. And Bria just is bluntly, plain as day, quit acting like a little and play ball. And me and my assistant looked at each other like, did you hear what he was like? We just went and sat down because that was that. And her sister didn't say a word back to her. Wasn't no arguing, but I mean, but the sweetest kid is like, man, them kids were, they were epic.
Right, man. That's cool, man. Well, look, I also want to ask you about, I know during, you know, as I was reading your bio, I saw where, you know, you was talking about you stepped away from the game around the pandemic time. Your babies were young, and, you know, you wanted to kind of put the focus where the focus should have been at the time. Mm-hmm. So how was it stepping away from basketball? Something you have probably been a part of your life since you were a baby, you know, just kind of stepping away that little brief time.
So it was, without getting into a lot of detail, it was tough. The pandemic, where I was at, we had just gotten a new principal at semester. And let's just say she was not very good. So some of that decision was made for me as far as the permanentness. I don't know if that's the word of the situation. I had told her, hey, I'm putting in my however many months leave, when the girls are born, I'm going to step back the 2021 season, step back, not be the coach because I want to stay home. They're twins, help my wife, blah, blah, blah. Well, she had came in and basically started axing people left and right. So she just basically said, yeah, you don't have to worry about coming back, period.
Wow.
And, long story short, she completely failed and is already gone. But what happened was it took my ability away to step back into it, in the next year. Or whatever the case may be. That was tough.
Right.
That was extremely tough because I couldn't just step back into the role I'd always known, which is a head coach. And I say that simply because I see a lot of coaches that are great people, great human beings, but they are severely lacking when it comes to running a program correctly. I would kind of put my foot in and help volunteer a little bit here and there those first couple of years. And it was tough because I'm like, why are we just doing this? Why are you letting so-and-so jog around and have attitude? Why are we not, but as a volunteer, just kind of keep my feet in it. It's not my place to, question or challenge. This is their program. So that was tough. I got with a great group of people last year. They were 2-time state champs, and they do it right. So that really helped quench my thirst in the right way because they stayed on them. They pushed them. They were constantly in the gym. They were teaching and correcting and breaking things down from its foundation and building it up. So that was great. And now getting back to the situation I'm currently in, I kind of get back. So everything has its timing, but I definitely enjoyed having the time with my girls and not, have to worry about COVID and bringing it back to them when it was still so unknown what the effects would be if they caught it at such, young ages before vaccines and this and that. So,
yeah,
well, the good and bad.
Well, you know what, man? It's an old saying. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. And from what I read, we got some great news. You are now the athletic director and head coach for Livingstone's Christian School?
Yes.
Man, congratulations on that, man. I think that's well deserved, man. But can you tell us a little bit about your new position? What all that's going to entail and how you plan to approach it, especially having dual roles?
Right. So I will, the plan is to officially take over as the AD here in the next week or two. I'm not quite ready to do it yet because I have to learn the systems here in Texas. Like, how do you do eligibility in the TAP system? How do you, do all these different things? Because again, if I'm going to do it, I want to make sure it's done right.
Exactly.
So I have someone, actually the guy that helped me get the position, is helping me do that at the moment, learn these steps and procedures. And I have to take a few little, courses online. And then we'll start that. I've been working with the girls, varsity girls basketball team here the last couple of weeks, which is a new experience because, as you know, I usually have my kids most of the year, if not the entire year.
Right.
And so we're just now putting in offenses and defenses and teaching terminology and drills and things. So that's a challenge, but they're great kids. I love going there every day. They're very receptive. They work hard. They're learning to do things at a higher pace. The athletic director portion will be a good challenge. It's not something I've done before, but I know how to run a program. Now I just have to apply it to multiple programs. It's a very small school, very small Christian school, which is good and bad. The good is they have some really good facilities, man. I have 3 gyms on campus.
Wow.
3 gyms, on campus. The bad is that, like, this year they play 6-man football. They didn't have enough to play 6-man football this year.
Wow.
And so part of the task is, as the athletic director, making sure we have quality coaches that have that charisma and that personality and that get out and, we don't want to use the R word, but get out and get kids interested in coming to play for me, the coach so-and-so in this sport, and building it up. Because, one of the things I like about the Christian school here, this particular one, is they still believe in discipline, accountability. They still have that standard. And about me.
Of course.
I believe in that. And it's starting to just completely disappear in public schools. I mean, my God, in Shreveport, I was seeing kids doing everything but punching the teacher in the face, and nothing happens because the way some of the laws and things are written, schools' hands are almost tied.
Right.
If you do too much, if you don't pass enough kids, then your school score comes down, and now people are losing jobs. And so this place still has that accountability, those standards, that discipline. And it gives me an opportunity to bring more kids into that environment where we can really hold their feet to the fire and try to make them the best that they can be. Nothing is foolproof, but we just want to try to make sure that through my job is through athletics, that athletics is that tool to help them learn things that they may not be getting in school or wherever else. So I'm really excited about it, and looking forward to getting in and jumping in all the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dre?
I mean, he pretty much answered all my questions without me even asking him.
Yeah, I talk a lot. I give long answers.
Well, look, I'm gonna ask you one more question, and I'm gonna put you on the hot seat for a quick second.
Go for it.
So last question: How much longer do you plan on coaching before you let it go? I know you're still a young man, but and I asked that with knowing that, hey, you may find another passion, something else that brings your attention. So, are you feeling like you're gonna be coaching in education until you completely retire, or could you see yourself doing something else in the future?
I mean, there's always a chance that there's something else out there. I like to cook. I cook pretty good. So at one point during this pandemic, like maybe I'll do a food truck or, but my passion, man, is coaching. It's my passion. I think about it all the time. I analyze it, break it down all the time. So, I've said this for years. I don't think I will do anything else outside of coaching as long as I physically can. I'm one of them high intensity coaches. I'm out there in practice, breaking stuff down, demonstrating, going hard, out there, defense. Like I'm getting to the point now where it's like, man, I'm gonna have to start doing some yoga because my back and hip ain't working right. Like I'm gonna have to find a different way to, to be that effective high intensity coach. But obviously I want to coach my girls. They're just 3. So I would really love to at least do it, for the next 15 years until they get through. But man, I don't see myself really doing anything else other than coaching basketball. The only thing might be if there was a situation where, through the years, there's this great opportunity to be this athletic director at some major school, blah, 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 and you can't coach and be AD, something like that. But man, then I would just coach an AAU team somewhere.
Yeah, but still got to be around the game.
I'm gonna be coaching, man, until I just physically can't. I don't see me losing a passion for it. I just don't. So.
Got you, man. Well, look, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat, and then we'll close out. So I got 3 questions for you.
Go for it.
You can just answer them, or you can answer them and opine on them if you want.
I'm answering, man. Ain't no hot seat for me. I'm blunt. That. Straightforward.
Gotcha. 2016 Golden State or 96 Bulls?
So it has to be quantified. What era are we playing the rules by?
You answer however you want to.
So I think each team wins if you're playing by their era of style and rule. The only caveat might be, I think the Bulls would be more likely to be successful in the 2016 rules because how would you guard Jordan?
Right.
if you couldn't hardly touch them, you know.
Right.
2016 ain't got a chance of beating the Bulls in the 96 era. They'll just get beat up. They'll get beat up. But the Bulls could be successful, but I don't know if, well, I mean, if they played like a whole season or whatever in that era style of basketball, Jordan and those guys would adapt. You know, they'd work on their threes and so on and so forth. So overall,
somebody else made that point before, Coach, and it wasn't received well.
Right. Well, I mean,
I don't think they got enough shooters, period, me personally. If they can go all season, I don't think they got enough shooters on that team. But
about the Bulls.
Yeah, I don't think they got enough shooters, even if
right.
they tried.
But let me ask you this. What do you think is going to happen to Curry playing in 96 rules? He ain't going to make it through a series.
I agree with you. I agree with
and
that.
neither will Durant.
Yep.
No, it don't matter how good you can shoot. You're sitting on that bench with a sling on one hand and a cast on your leg.
I'm under the impression that nobody in NBA history can stop Durant, so I don't know that.
But again, it's not the way they play now, because you breathe on them, it's a foul. If they let Dennis Rodman, if they let Pippen, if they let those guys play the way they did back then, Durant is not going to be as successful. You got to remember, one of the reasons they're so successful now is you can't even challenge a shot and land near their feet.
You don't think
that's a technical foul?
They can't adapt.
But if I can sit up there and bump you and ride you and knock you off your path and hit you with forearm, remember, a lot of the things that are ejections now were common fouls in 96. So I think that they would, the physical toll, they wouldn't be able to manage it.
I think KD is just as durable as Reggie Miller is.
You make a heck of a point. You make a great point as far as physical, but Reggie Miller played in that system.
But just like you said, if the Bulls can adapt, let KD adapt. If he used to people get physical with him, he'll figure it out. Just like Mike never figured it out in today's time.
All right.
So I mean, if he had played some years back then yeah, he probably would have figured it out. I'll give you that. That's a great point. Same thing I always say about LeBron. People talking about LeBron couldn't play back then. Are you kidding me?
Nah, he definitely could.
He does all that stuff now because they allow it to happen. So, hey, if you're going to let me flop and get a foul, I'm going to flop and get a foul.
Oh, yeah. 6'8", 260 going to play in any era. So, second question. Kobe or Shaq?
What's the question? Who would I take to build my team around?
Yeah, if you had who basically. Do you think the Lakers made the right decision staying with Kobe over Shaq?
Yes, I think that was proven. I think it was proven. Kobe went on to win, was it 2 or 3 more without Shaq? And then Shaq went on to win 1 with Wade. I don't think you can solely hang it just on championships, because there are so many other things that come into play with that. That's why I think that's such a flawed argument with the Jordan versus LeBron greatest of all time. I think that's a flawed argument. But, man, Shaq in his prime was unstoppable. But Kobe is Kobe. Like, he's a whole movement. He's a whole, you just say Mamba, everybody know what you're talking about. Man, I'm gonna take Kobe.
Yeah,
by a slim margin. I'm gonna take Kobe.
So you know what the last question is? You've already hinted at it. Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
So going back to Kobe, I'd always said I thought LeBron was slightly better overall. I mean, he's bigger, he's more athletic. He's got some physical tools. He's got every physical tool Jordan has plus. But seeing The Last Dance and seeing just how maniacal Michael Jordan was, just how he was back crap crazy. Like, this man is making up stories to be pissed at you about.
Yeah, that's a fact, though.
Like, he's making up reasons to just find an edge. Like, man, there's something, you have to value that type of mentality. But again, how you argue with somebody who's made 8 straight NBA finals? Oh, but he lost 5 of them.
That's his argument. That's
That's your argument. He lost 5. Okay, let's put it like this.
Coach, look, let me speak for myself. That's not my argument. My argument is I would rather go 6 times and win all than go 10 times and only win 4. Because I'm in the era where I don't give out participation trophies. I'm not knocking it. So if I got to split hairs and we're talking about the top echelon, I got to point it out, right? I have no choice.
So I love the way you phrase that, because I agree with it. Phrase like I would rather win 6 out of 6 and have 6 rings than win 4 and go however many other times.
Right.
Because it's 6. But I think the greater
we all know that's not the only part of the argument. That's just
right
an ingredient.
Right. But I think too many people, that is their argument. That is their argument. But I do think that it kind of goes like to the Buffalo. Remember the Buffalo Bills back in the 90s?
I bring it up all the time.
They awful. But they made it to 4 Super Bowl. You know how many teams never make it to a Super Bowl?
Right.
Like, there is something to be said, because people don't want, with that argument, they don't count Jordan's times. He never made it to the finals. Why? So you're counting, you're holding it against LeBron that he made it to the finals, but you're not counting those other 4 years Jordan didn't. Or really, it's less than that, because 10. You're counting those other 4 years Jordan didn't make it to the finals, and most of those years he didn't even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So, like, there's something to be said at that level.
Right. And my only retort to that, Coach, would be you make a great point. But then the LeBron fans make a big point on, well, he has more of this than Jordan, more of that. And my thing is just pure math. When you're that great and both of them are that great, if you play 5 or 6 more years just off accumulation of numbers, you should. And I was telling a friend the other day that, they were like, it's just so amazing. LeBron got 39,000 points. I'm like, but he played 21 years. The more impressive thing to me is to maintain a 27, 28 point average at 50% clip for 21 years. Mm-hmm. I look at that more.
Averages,
as great as LeBron is, and he's top 5, whoever, anybody in the world will give him that. If he plays 21 years with his physical makeup, I mean, if he plays another 5 years, we're gonna be like, okay, he got 45,000 points. So as long as he plays, he's gonna be productive. So I feel like a lot of people hold it against Jordan because maybe he felt like his career was complete after really 13 prime years. We know he came back for Washington, and it counts for his
right. You kind of don't count that.
But it's one thing. I'm just saying that argument to me doesn't hold weight. Just like you were saying about the 6-0, it's like you can't. If I accomplish this much in this amount of time, and which is more than you've accomplished in this amount of time, then if you're only going to go on counting stats, then okay, I feel you. But to me, if you tell me LeBron averaged 28 points for 21 years, that gets my attention, more than he accumulated.
Great.
Yeah. So.
Right. Because he did play longer, and people don't take that into account. Jordan had to go to college. LeBron, just right there got a few years on him.
Yeah.
But also, a somewhat counter argument to that is that's part of LeBron's greatness, is that he was able to do it that long at that higher level. He didn't need to take a 2-year break. He didn't need to retire at, I don't know when Jordan retired, 30, whatever. The fact that's part of his greatness is he has been able to keep it up here for so long. He's spending $1 million something a year on his body. Like,
yeah, and my thing is I always just kind of attack it from the counting numbers point. It's like you're gonna tell me. I mean, Karl Malone got more points than Jordan. You look at football. Barry Sanders is the greatest running back I ever saw. But if you compare his numbers to other running backs, they're gonna pale because he only played 9 years.
Right.
So I look at your peak more than I look at how long. But LeBron's his biggest argument is his longevity, man. But either way, they both goats. I just want to
you're never winning that argument. So, but if I, my answer would be Jordan by. Because Jordan also changed it's not just on the court. He changed the entire landscape of commercial athleticism. Remember, Nike would not be where it is without Jordan. He's the reason Nike is the largest athletic apparel company in the world now.
I got some Jordans right now.
Yeah. I mean, so you look at that. Why does LeBron have the LeBron shoe line? Because Jordan. Mm-hmm. So when you look at everything, because legacy is not just what you do on the court or the field, it's what you have done, period. And man, I think 3 of the greatest legacy changers are Jordan for that. LeBron, because even though he gets blamed or credit, however you want to, for forming the super teams, which is incorrect, because remember Kevin Garnett and
Ray Allen
in their prime went to Boston, so I don't understand why they don't get trashed about that. But
LeBron went on that team, that's why.
Right? They just want to use it. Like, I understand if you want to go for Jordan, but don't hate LeBron. Like, come on, man. But so LeBron for kind of taking ownership, and that's why these players can force their way where they want to go now. That's LeBron, And then Steph Curry, because, I mean, he pretty much has, I don't want to say single-handedly, but he gets the credit for making it a 3-point game.
World.
You know what, Coach? I noticed one omission from that. You don't include Magic Johnson and Larry Bird era for bringing it back from tape delays to live basketball to where it's the game we know today.
Right, but you're talking about 2 people saving the game, not 2 people changing the way things were completely done. Like Jordan changed. Nobody was getting millions of dollars for shoes, and basketball shoes were not that big a deal, and so he changed the individualization of the business aspect of it. Now, I mean, all these guys, they make more money from their sponsorships than they do their basketball. And then, like I said, LeBron, because think about it. You watched the Last Dance. Think about this. The team, the ownership, the general manager has so much soul power. Mm-hmm. Look, Scottie Pippen couldn't change his contract. Jordan couldn't change or do anything. LeBron brought about a change where that power has shifted now. And now it's not so much solely in the hands of the team and the ownership. The player now controls a lot of their own destiny. That's huge, man. That is huge. It's very huge. It gets on my nerves, and some people's hands gets on my nerves, like James Harden and them that just want to, cry baby their way out of every situation. Mm-hmm. But I definitely, he gets on my, anyway. It's nice to know that I have some say so over my life, because the team can trade me anytime they feel like. So I should have some say so over where I want to go, and I should be able to force the team into doing things. And then Steph Curry, which I don't like because, the news and the highlights, they don't show him, doing anything other than jacking up threes and turning around before it goes in. And
he got some of the coldest handle and one of the best finishes in basketball.
He's almost right up there with Kyrie Irving at finishing at the rim.
Yeah, he understands angles at a high level.
Right.
You can just see it. His placement on the backboard is second to none.
And they don't show him running off of 5 screens at full speed. They don't show the screens. They don't show the screens and all of that. They just show, and so that's what gets sold to the youth, because everything trickles down. And so now you got kids out there, it's ugly. Now, Magic and Bird, because Bird is probably my favorite player of all time.
One of mine too.
Yeah, so props to him and Magic and that whole generation. But I don't think that they single-handedly changed anything. They saved something.
Yeah.
They did help save the game so that Jordan and some of them had the opportunity. But I think the game would have been saved anyway. Like as soon as Jordan would have got there, it'd have been saved. Somebody was going to save it because America was looking for something, to dive into outside of baseball and football.
Great point, Coach. So, Dre, you got any last question for Coach before we let him go?
No, I don't got nothing.
Hey, Coach, man, I really, really appreciate you, man, taking out your time, man, sitting with us talking. I know I know it's the day after Thanksgiving, man, when we're recording this, so I know you got your family on deck, man, so we're not going to hold you up, brother, but we definitely appreciate you, man. We proud of you, everything you accomplished, man, coming from here. So, obviously you're a success story for us, man, and we wish you, your beautiful family, man, nothing but the best going forward.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, and same to you and y'all's, and take care, be safe. Have a great one.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you.
All right. Y'all take care, brothers.